Hey, how you doing? In this video, we're going to be talking about domain name registration, domain name hosting, web hosting and email hosting, and how they all work together to make sure that your website and your business email works well. So I wanted to quickly explain how your domain name and things like your website and your email work together. So let's start with a website. So your website sits on a web server, and that web server has a really unique, long, hard to remember IP address. It's how all the computers on the internet find each other. Now, if one of your customers asked you, hey, how do I get to your website? And you had to quote a long number like, oh, just go to your web browser and type in 123.456.124. Obviously, it's going to be really hard to remember. So we have something called a domain name, something that's really easy for us humans to talk to each other and communicate and remember, like any.com.au, that translates into this really complex number. So to get that domain name, you need to register it with a domain registrar, which are these really big organizations that reserve the names for you. And then you need to host that domain name on something called a name server. It's a little bit complex. It's best to have a look at how it all works. So let's have a look. Okay, so remember how we said that there was 3 things that make your website work? So first, you need to register your domain name. This is done with a domain registrar. Secondly, you need a server that hosts your domain name records. This is your phone book. This is what translates any.com.au to the IP address of your web server. So you need a domain name system name server hosted for you. And then thirdly, you need a web server. This is something that stores your website, all the images, all the text. This all sits on the internet, all has IP addresses. So how does it all come together? How does it all work? So somebody at home has got their web browser open. They type in the domain name that you've registered, any.com.au. The computer goes to the domain name system name server that you're hosting, and it translates any.com.au to the number of your web server. Now your browser can actually find where the any.com.au website lives. And voila, you've loaded the Any Solutions webpage. You need all 3 things: domain name registration, domain name system name server hosting, and web server hosting for anysolutions.com.au to load on your browser.